Hey, what's going on, guys? Today, I'm bringing you guys my part of the joint video that I'm doing with SDUBNation. Today, we are doing 31 on 31. On his channel, he's ranking all the Marvel movies and the DC movies in one big ranking, and I'm doing the same right here. But we got a lot of stuff to do, so without further ado, let's get into the ranking. Alright, kicking off the list at the way bottom, 31, is Thor the Dark World. Come on, guys. Thor the Dark World is such a bad movie. Like, oh my, it's just such a boring movie. Like, the plot is boring, the villain is boring, even the characters are boring. This is the second movie in a row they made a movie about a mystical god boring by just having it involved with a bunch of Earth stuff. And God, I don't think there's anyone who can genuinely say that this movie is a good movie, so that's why it's staying in my 31 spot. Coming in at number 30, it goes to The Incredible Hulk. Now, The Incredible Hulk, like Snowing is probably going to say in his video, it is the black sheep of the MCU. Like, this movie, it's pretty much ignored in the new Marvel canon because this movie was made by a completely different studio. It really had nothing to do. It just came right after the success of Iron Man. And it was just, I don't know, the movie isn't terrible, but I just think every other movie on this list is just a movie that I would rather watch more than Incredible Hulk. No hate to Ed Norton, I just think he's just not as good as Mark Ruffalo in portraying the character. I think the CGI in this movie is really trash at times, and just Banner's love interest, she's just really not good, but Incredible Hulk, number 30. Now, this is a surprise to me, but number 29 has got to go to Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm actually surprising myself by putting it this low because how could you just mess up a movie like this? Movie was just could have been great, could have been just more of what we wanted in the original Ant-Man. It's just this movie is just so boring and just lame. Like, you have two pretty cool characters right off the heels of Infinity War. Like, everyone wants to know what happens after Infinity War, what's going next. Then you just get this movie that just means nothing. Like, this movie, it's very hard to stay awake during this movie, which is so sad because I love Ant-Man, I love the Wasp, I love all the characters in this movie. They're just not really done well, sadly. But that's number 29. Now, at the 28th spot, we have The Suicide Squad. Nope, not the new Suicide Squad. That movie hasn't come out yet. The old Suicide Squad. This movie, like we said in the podcast, if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. This movie's just really meh. This movie is not overtly terrible, but it does nothing great. It's just so middle of the road, with a fun cast of characters too. Like, you have Will Smith as Deadshot, you have Harley Quinn, and like those are really the only two characters that matter in this movie. Like, none of the other characters really have interesting stories or really do a lot, and the whole thing about them being a family when Diablo sacrificed himself is just pretty meaningless. The whole action, like, there's barely any action in this movie. 90% of it is just them walking down an empty street and city, just preparing for action. I mean, there's not a lot of build up. By the end, by the first 30 minutes, the lady already has a big blue sky beam, and like everything that you would expect to happen over the course of the movie just happens in like the first 30 minutes. So that's why this movie's just not good. 28, man. Now, at 27, we have Original Thor. This movie's just so bad. Like, good thing Sterling's not here. He would just berate into me about how this movie is so good, the fantasy of it, the music. It's just, this movie is so boring. Thor is so unlikable. None of the characters are likable in this movie. There's so many Dutch tilts in this movie, so actually it kind of makes it hard to watch sometimes because you just don't want to look at what's on screen. And then again, it's like they did with Dark World. They made some space god character really boring by just having him running around in the desert with Padme for an hour and a half. My God, Thor is just so boring, man. But like, it's not horrible, but pretty much, and that's why it's at 27. 26, we have our second DC movie. Can you guess which one? It's Aquaman. Like, come on, Aquaman. Like, this movie, it's just pretty forgettable in my opinion and boring, and that's the worst thing movies can do in my opinion, be forgettable and boring. Like, this thing, I don't really remember much about this plot. It's just the villain is boring. You don't get enough time about why he hates Arthur so much. Like, you don't even get the connection he has with his mother. It's just, I don't like the OG Aquaman costume that he gets. I don't think it really looks good on Jason Momoa. And the way the action scenes are shot in this movie, like I have to give them props for making it one take as much as they could, but just the way the camera work is handled, it just kind of makes me iffy about it. But I don't really like Aquaman. I'm sorry to you guys that do like it, but it's at number 26 for me. Now, this next movie, it kind of hurts me to put it this low. It's 25, Black Panther. Man, I always try so hard to like this movie because I really do enjoy a lot of things about it. I enjoy T'Challa, I enjoy Killmonger. He's one of the best villains of the MCU. But this movie, like, the CGI is just one thing, but it's just T'Challa was done better in Civil War. I just think this movie, it's just not very interesting. It's just generic. Like, I wish they did so much more to Black Panther because the character and the actor, they really do mean a lot to me, but I'm afraid I do have to put it this low. I'm sorry. Coming in at number 24 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, to me, this is another Ant-Man and the Wasp situation. You had a really good first movie, but the second movie just really fell short. You have a great cast of characters, but the movie just doesn't really do good with them. Like, the movie's supposed to be about Peter bonding with his father, becoming a family, but, like, all of that is given to Rocket and Yondu, which I love, but I feel like that focus should have been put on Peter and his dad. And it's just just this movie, just like Snurring said, it does just leave a bad taste in the mouth after watching it. At number 23, we have another DC movie. We have Justice League, or Justice League. Now, this movie, I originally was going to have it really higher because I thought I really did like it, but after watching it with a friend, like, this movie, what is this movie? Come on. You have Batman, like, Batman is such a punk in this movie. It's just the Justice League, like, it just feels way too happy to be a Justice League movie in the universe Zack Snyder set up. Like, they tried to make it some big thing about Superman being dead. Like, nope, guys, he's really dead. Then they just have him in the first, like, he's literally like the first shot of the movie. So it's just pretty sure at this point we're all just waiting for Zack Snyder to come save us from the movie that is Justice League. Coming in at number 22 is Ant-Man, and it feels weird that I feel like this movie is really low, but we do have a lot of movies to get through, and this is where it happens to fall. Ant-Man is really good. Scott Lang, a likable character. There's a bunch of good characters in this movie. It's a heist movie, which just has a nice aspect of all the planning and how they pull it off. But it's also kind of just a redemption. Like, how does this guy become worthy of being a father to his daughter again? And I just think Ant-Man is really good. He's a really good character. It holds a special place to me. As of making this video, when I recorded, I actually hadn't seen Birds of Prey until like 2 days ago. And actually, I was kind of surprised because I didn't expect it to be as okay as it was, but Birds of Prey, it's not bad. Harley Quinn is likable characters. Some of the other characters I don't really feel need to be there, but Huntress, she's really cool. And it's just a goofy, wacky movie not to be taken seriously. I think it's a little overrated, but it's not bad. It's alright for Birds of Prey. My number 20 is going to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good of a movie. The villain is really good, or he's pretty okay as a villain. I wouldn't say he's good, but he's okay. Doctor Strange, he's really good. Benedict Cumberbatch plays him really well. His arc is good as he goes to like this snarky dude only believing that he's the best to this wizard who sacrifices himself. And speaking of that, the way he deals with the villain is perfect. So we need more of the MCU, the hero defeating the villain in a unique in his own way. And just Doctor Strange is pretty good. That's why it's going at number 20. Now, as much as it hurts me to put it here at number 19, we have Iron Man 2. I really do truly love Iron Man 2. I love the dilemma that Tony's going to. He's dying and he has to figure out how is he going to spend his last time on Earth. Like, what truly matters to him. The villain is a little kind of on the weak side with the clone of it. Him being, he's just a person with the same powers as Tony. But I just think this movie is really fun to watch. You just ignore it. You're not critiquing it. It's just a fun movie to put on. Like, this is one of my favorite movies to just put on and watch if I'm working on something or just doing something, just to have it playing in the background. But Iron Man 2, it's pretty good to me, but in the grander scale of thing, it's just kind of middle of the road, and I foresee that now. At number 18, we have the very first Avengers film. Now, I'm pretty sure in our last huge ranking that we did with all three of the other people, I had this movie way lower, and I don't know, I'll have to fact check. I've moved it up a little bit. This movie is good. Like, it's classic. It's the first Avengers. Like, it created this Marvel universe pretty much to be as popular as it is now. Like, it brought all of these fan favorite comic book characters together on the big screen, and I really got to respect it for that. But I just have, I just find it hard to watch this movie over and over again because I think I've watched it too many times to the point where it's just I don't really want to watch it anymore. But it's a pretty good movie. But all the other movies on this list that are above it, I think I could watch right now more than this one. Number 17, we have Guardians of the Galaxy 1. This movie is just, I think it's an instant classic when it first came out all those years ago. Like, this movie, it just had such a different style. Like, I'm pretty sure it came right after Winter Soldier. This movie is just really good. It created some of my favorite heroes in the MCU, the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're so wacky and just, they're so stylistic. These movies are just really good. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 may have been a kind of a letdown, but this movie will always be pretty decent in my opinion. At number 16, we got another DC movie, Shazam. Shazam is really good. It's a really good DC movie. It's got a lot of comedy. The family aspect of it is really cool. The protagonist, though the adult version of it is way more likable than the kid version, but this movie's so enjoyable. I feel like anyone can enjoy this movie. You don't even have to be a big fan of superhero movies or DC movies to enjoy Shazam. Shazam, I'm glad DC put out Shazam when they had a pretty bad track record, but Shazam, really good. At the halfway point, we have Iron Man 1. What can you say about this? Like, this movie started it all. Like, some of you may think I do have it a little low, but by all means, I mean, no disrespect. Iron Man 1, without Iron Man 1, we wouldn't be here. Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau, they started this MCU universe with a great introductory film. I don't really want to rewatch anymore since I've seen this movie more times than I can count, but it's really good. So good, Iron Man. At my number 14, I have my favorite Iron Man movie, Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, it's a Christmas movie. It's just really charming to see, and you see what Tony deals with after, having the PTSD of what happened in Avengers. Then you just have the chemistry of him with the kid, just the Mandarin. I think the Mandarin is really good, even though I do wish we got the real Mandarin. I just love Iron Man 3. It's really funny, really just puts you in the Christmas spirit. It's just a fun ride, start to finish. Number 13, I have Avengers Age of Ultron. To this day, I still don't get why people hate this movie so much. It's actually pretty good. Like, everyone complains that it's set up too much. Come on, like, it does not set up all that much. Like, sure it does, but the characters are so good in this movie. You really see them just being a team. I think in this movie, like, you just really see the Avengers as the Avengers. It sets up the cosmic phase of the MCU. You just have Ultron, which is such a fantastic villains. The characters are really great in this movie, even though I wish Killmonger, Quicksilver had more time to shine. But Avengers Ultron, man, what a good movie. Coming in at number 12, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland's first movie after his debut in Civil War was really good. It was less of a Spider-Man movie and just more of Peter Parker and just his high school story. You have an amazing villain. In this movie, you really see the MCU through the eyes of just high school kids. You're looking into this world of heroes and gods, and you have to see how does Spider-Man fit into all that when he's just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I really love this movie. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man films ever, and Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. At number 11, we have Far From Home, which is, I'm pretty sure at the time of this recording, the last Marvel movie we've ever gotten. Until Black Widow releases, of course. But Far From Home, I really do think this film is really just amazing. Like, people really don't. I've seen people really just hate on this movie. But Mysterio, he's an awesome villain. Tom Holland is great again. It's after Endgame, so the tone is kind of hard to adjust to. But you just have some great scenes in this movie. You just have the whole Mysterio scene, which is fantastic. And it's really just Peter trying to just ignore all the mess up stuff that's happened to him. And he's just trying to move on and live his life with his friends and just be happy for once. And I just really like the premise of this movie. Now, before we get into the top 10, I do have to get a little honorable mention in, and that honorable mention is Wonder Woman 84. I really do love this movie. It's very recent, so you don't have to worry about any spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything. It's just, I really think this movie is really good. It's not as good as the first one, but I definitely enjoy it more. Like, you have Diana going through everything she goes through in this movie, portrayed by Gal Gadot. She's really good. Steve Trevor is really good. Chris Pine, Pedro Pascal is fantastic as the villain. Kristen Wiig is really good at Cheetah. Then the end of this movie, it's just something we could all use in this day and age. It's just, I really love Wonder Woman 84. But now on to the top 10. Starting off, my final 10 movies is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok really reinvented Thor. Like, this was their third strike, and luckily they hit a home run with this movie. Thor was strike one, Thor the Dark World was strike two, Thor Ragnarok knocked it out of the park. Taika Waititi just crafted this masterpiece. It's so vibrant, it's so aesthetic, really just made Thor likable. They just reinvented, completely retconned the God of Thunder, and just made him pretty sure one of everyone's favorite characters to this day. The movie is funny, it's deep, it's really enjoyable, and you've all seen this movie. Who hasn't seen this movie? At number 9, we have Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie is really good. It just has such a different vibe. It's all spy thriller. It's really just dark and gritty. And I'm pretty sure that's why everyone loves this movie. The Winter Soldier, he's a great villain. There's awesome action in this movie. It's just, it feels so realistic and different from any Marvel movie that came before or after it. Winter Soldier will always hold a special place in my heart, and I feel pretty good having it at number 9. At number 8, we have Captain America: The First Avenger. I really love this movie. This movie is so special to me. It's such a war film. It's so different. It just has that World War II vibe, and it's the origins to one of my favorite Marvel heroes of all time, Captain America. I love all the characters in this movie. You have his Howling Commandos, Bucky, Peggy Carter. It's just, this movie is just really good. It feels like a classic comic book movie. And it's just, I don't get why. I feel like this movie's really underappreciated, but not to me. First Avenger, it's number 8. Coming in at number 7, we have Man of Steel. Man, this movie just really redefined Superman. I think Man of Steel, it really changed how we, as movie watchers, just see Superman. Superman used to be this campy, comic book, jokey character. Now we see Henry Cavill, like, he's the man, but he's also a god. He goes through things, he suffers, the people hate him, and he has to whether or not to be Superman or not. So I really think Man of Steel did a good job at redefining Superman to the world, and really just bravo to Zack Snyder for starting his DC universe. At number 6, we have Captain America: Civil War. Like, this movie is like, I feel like after this movie, the production quality of these movies just got really amazing. The camera work in this movie is phenomenal. There's so many just establishing shots. The soundtrack is really amazing, and it really just pits our heroes against each other. And personally, I was Team Cap all the way. This movie's really good, and it really just changes up and shakes the MCU up. Some people say the consequences don't really last, but I feel like this movie set a new term and higher expectations for the Marvel movies coming after it. Starting off our top 5, we have Wonder Woman. I love this movie so much. They just made Wonder Woman just so cool in this movie. Like, she just makes power seem so easy and just great. The scene where she takes down all the Germans and you just have her theme playing in the background, one of the best superhero themes of all time in my opinion. It's a war movie. It's really good. It's just, oh my god, I love Wonder Woman so much. This movie made Wonder Woman one of my favorite superheroes ever. Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, all the actors in this movie. The villain is pretty weak, but I ignore that because everything leading up to that final encounter with Ares is just really good. I love Wonder Woman. Number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Avengers: Infinity War. Now, the thing with Infinity War, yes, like, it's pretty much the first part of the culmination of this decade-long saga. But the thing with Infinity War is, I like watching this movie all the way up until the Wakanda battle. The Wakanda battle in this movie, I think that's where the movie really falls off. Like, it's just another faceless monster battle, and I think Endgames is better because it's just so small scale. It's just some random field in the middle of Wakanda. Infinity War, it is amazing, but I don't think it's the best Marvel movie ever. I think they could have done a little better with the final battle, but don't get me wrong, the movie is still amazing regardless. Kicking off my number 3, some of you may take this as a surprise, it's Captain Marvel.
I don't know why I've liked this movie so much. I just really love Captain Marvel, man. I like Carol Danvers. I like the plot that she had this life on Earth that was just taken from her. She doesn't remember, that she has to try and remember who she was. And then by the end, she realized that she's literally just the most powerful thing that there is. Then she just goes ham and takes out a whole warship of people, one shots Jan Rug. I really love Brie Larson as an actress, and I really love this movie, Captain Marvel. It's fantastic to me. Now, on to my number two. It is Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Only the Ultimate Edition. The original edition's not as good, but the Ultimate Edition, man, this movie is just so good. You have the best Superman going against the best Batman. Ben Affleck, he had a lot on his hands. Like, this had to be a continuation of the Man of Steel universe, but also set in Batman living in here. And it's so good, just the build up to the showdown between the Man of Steel and the Bat of Gotham. Ben Affleck is just so amazing as Batman. He's my favorite iteration. Henry Cavill, great as Superman. Just watching them go toe to toe was so just invigorating. This and Wonder Woman in here, oh my God, she's awesome too. I love everything about this movie, and I just can't wait for Zack Snyder's Justice League because I love this movie. Now, the number one spot, you guys all know it, it's Avengers Endgame. I know Sterling's probably sighing, he's like, oh, Avengers Endgame's, it's overrated, it's not that good. But nah, who cares what he says? Avengers Endgame is amazing. It is the actual culmination of just so many years of movies. Just finally watching all these conflict characters that you watch evolve from the very first movie all the way to the end. It's just 3 hours of just references, callbacks, just visiting places you remember. And it's really good seeing these characters and adventures in a new light, just seeing what they're doing with the Marvel saga from now on, just seeing where we've come from and where it's ended. Avengers Endgame, it's just a cinematic classic. This movie's going to be remembered forever, just for ages to come. Avengers Endgame, it's just, oh my God, I'm just, props to Marvel for actually pulling this off. They were pretty much the first in the game to create a cinematic, established universe. They had a plan. They stuck to it, through thick and thin. There's some good movies and bad movies. Just the Marvel thing is just something that's gonna hold dear to me, and just I'm gonna remember. It's like I grew up on these movies, and I'm still growing up in these movies, and I just love Avengers Endgame, and I think that's why it deserves the number one spot, just for being the perfect culmination of just so many years of movies. Alright, so that was my third version of 31 on 31. Make sure you check out Sterling's version. That link will be in the description below. Just see what are your rankings of the movies? How would you rank all these movies, the DC movies and the Marvel movies combined? Leave your ranking down in the comments below. Leave a like or dislike. Please don't dislike. I'd prefer if you didn't, but just let me know your thoughts down below. If you agreed with my list, did you not like it? Would you rank some movies higher or lower? But no matter what, thank you guys for watching it all the way to the end if you did, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.